Hi everyone, my name is Carrie Zhang, and you may know me from the Asian Mental Health Project. Today is March 16th, 2023. 2 years after the Atlanta spa shootings, which claimed 8 lives, 6 of which were Asian women. This tragedy was devastating, and I know many of us are still grieving, particularly as the anniversary arrives each year. If you're feeling especially distressed or anxious, you are absolutely not alone, and I'm definitely there with you. The Atlanta spa shooting, along with cases of mass violence, racial violence, gender-based violence, may come with long-term mental health challenges. So 2 years on, I would like to remind you that we all deserve to heal just by existing. We can still mourn, we can still feel whatever it is we need to feel in order to process everything we are going through. And we can celebrate who we are, even amongst years of adversity. If you are dealing with mental health challenges, help and support are out there. I'm urging community leaders to provide consistent, identity-affirming, safe spaces of community care for us to process these events. And for anyone listening, your life, your mental health, and your well-being are so, so precious. Take gentle care of yourself and your loved ones. Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity. I'm here to talk about my friend Ye Taobing, the youngest victim of recent mass shooting at Half Moon Bay in California. Bing and his family moved to the United States in 2016 to pursue their dream. As a mushroom specialist, he recently moved to California to help local farmers. But there he was gunned down and died age of 43, left behind his wife, his son, and his daughter, as well as his family back in China. Bing was remembered as a very simple, honest, hardworking man. Everyone enjoyed working with him. Everyone called him Brother Bing. He didn't talk much. Instead, he worked hard and made sure everything was done right. And he was always the first one at the greenhouse and the last one to leave. He had the respect of everyone at the facility. He loved singing very much, playing basketball and ping pong whenever he had a little time left. But most important, he loved his family and worked very hard for them. He spoiled his 4-year-old daughter so much, he carried her on his shoulder wherever they go. As the only son to his parents, he took care of them, especially after his dad was diagnosed of cancer 2 years ago. The young family just gained a green card a little than a year ago and was to fulfill their American dream. They even planned a trip to visit China. It would be their first trip since COVID and would be the first trip the little girl would take to see her grandparents for the first time. But you all know, everything was cut short. The family lost a loving husband and a father. And the cancer-fighting parents lost a loving and only son. His parents still didn't know the devastating news. His wife kept asking, why? Why us? We worked so hard. We didn't do anything wrong to anyone. We cannot answer her question. Neither could we bring him back and make sense to any of this. We could help stand together, helping his surviving family to continue their journey and their dream here. Please stand with Asian American. Please help. A GoFundMe page has been set up. If you search B-I-N-G, his last name, it will be the first page. Thank you again.
the last few years have been really fucking hard. But here are 3 examples of things that have saved me. A caterpillar, strangers in New York, and swings. Caterpillar, because one of my most vivid memories is watching this 1.5 long, bright neon green caterpillar crawl across like the edge of a pool on a sunny day. And I think I just watched it for like 30 to 40 minutes. And it is one of my favorite memories because it reminded me that I can access wonder and awe at just the wild and beautiful things that make this world so incredible. Strangers in New York, because despite feeling like I had a target on my back the last few years, the times where I spoke with someone, and even if we never spoke again, I knew that in that moment, we could just see each other as just 2 human beings, that we recognized our humanity and that we were able to connect on something. Swings, because it's been a great source of joy and play. Anytime I see a swing, the adult ones, not the toddler seat ones, the ones that I can swing super high and get my head above the bar is what I try to do every time I see one of those and I have time. Because it reminds me that for a few moments I can do this activity and just be in my physical body and think of nothing else. And play. And no matter how messy life has felt, and it's felt really fucking messy. Like, I washed my hair for the first time like in 2 weeks today because I knew I had to do this video. I was like, the least I could do is wash my hair. And yet, despite that, I know I can get in bed and feel like my life is still wonderful and beautiful and worth fighting for and worth investing everything I can into finding joy and peace. And those are kind of like the small daily things when I'm knocked off kilter. When I'm really knocked out, I have my therapist who I've been with for 10 years. I know I can hop on the road and take a road trip, which I do every couple years by myself, to just head to the desert or head to the mountains and camp for a little while and explore, because that reminds me that I have access to adventure and that I can kind of be out in the world and be resilient and figure things out and not need much. And I also have my chosen family, the people that I know that I can be myself with and they'll accept me, that I am safe with, that I can just cry, or they'll just hold me if I'm bummed, or I can vent and yell and they won't judge, that I can truly be me. And I share all that to say that the healing has to start with us, with all of us who've been really invested in our communities, who've been trying to think about what we can do, and the petitions we've signed, the donations we've made, the protests we've attended, the vigils we've cried at. All of that healing has to start with us, because if we are not okay, we can't fix the world. And I don't mean in that self-care, meditate, take a bath, like, buy yourself that cookie you want kind of way. I mean in like a deep, sustainable way. Like thinking about what refuels you, what restores you, what rebalances you, what creates peace for you, what makes you feel loved, what makes you feel whole, what makes you feel joy, what makes you feel calm. Because those things are what will allow us to sustain and continue this fight. Because the hate is alive and well. I wish it weren't, but it is. And we are now 3 years into the increasing xenophobia, and it continues. We're 3 years into our communities being targeted and attacked with so many losses. We are almost 3 years into the global call for racial equity and the resurgence of the Black Lives Matter movement. We're now 2+ years into a record-breaking stretch of anti-trans, anti-queer legislation across just about half this country. And there has been too much pain and disconnection and hate for us to not invest in making sure that we're okay first, that we are healthy, that we are strong, that we are not trauma freaks. I don't believe that's possible, but that we are working through our own pain and our own trauma so that we can show up that much stronger for our communities. So that the burnout, when we have been out in the streets, when we've been fighting for change, when we've been, pushing for legislation, whatever it may be, that we're able to continue that fight without the distractions of our own shit getting in the way. And inevitably it will. I don't mean that it never will. But on a day in and day out basis, it is our responsibility to make sure that we're addressing our own pain and our own traumas, and that we are investing in our healing. We've never needed the media or society or certainly not crimes against our communities and attacks in our communities and deaths in our communities to validate the need for healing. But if the last few years have prompted you or reignited you to think about what you need to solidify your foundation, to work through your past pains and traumas, I hope that we take the time to look inward, to look around in our daily lives and figure out how we can fix ourselves so we can actually go on and fix the world. Because our futures are inextricably tied. The future is 100% communal to me. And that means the fight for justice has to be intersectional, and it is interconnected. We don't live in vacuums. We live in a melting pot of a world, whether we want to or not. And at the end of the day, I think what we know, certainly from all the actions in our community, is that care is not passive. Care requires action, and action requires energy. And if we are depleting our reserves, if we are not making sure that we are solid and that our traumas are not going to resurface at any point in time and pull us out of the fight, we're not doing our jobs to take care of the community. Because taking care of the community is taking care of us first. And so if you don't know what you need when you're knocked off balance on a day-to-day basis, or if you don't know what you need when you're knocked out and you don't know how to get back up, then I ask you to think about what you need to do to make sure you have those things so that this fight doesn't end, so that we all have the energy to continue on, and so that we ensure that we actually fix the fucking problems in our world. Because that is not too lofty of a goal. It is not lofty enough of a goal if we're not aiming for the world that we want to live in, because otherwise, what the fuck are we doing? But in the meantime, I hope you all take care of yourselves. I hope you all think about what you need for your healing. And I hope that you're okay. I'm Pam Yang, and thanks so much for your time.
Hi everyone, this is Mei Lee, broadcast journalist, professor, and co-host of Shoes Off Inside with MKT. We all remember where we were on March 16th, 2 years ago, when we got the news of the horrific shooting in Atlanta, when a gunman walked into 3 Asian-owned spas and killed 8 people, 6 of them Asian women. 8 lives taken in a blink of an eye. We were so afraid as an Asian community that something like this was going to happen because of all the anti-Asian hate that was exploding across the country. And the worst case scenario did actually become a reality. I was in shock. I was grief-stricken, just like everyone else, heartbroken. But I took that heartbreak, that fear, that anger, and I turned it to empower myself and others to say, we belong here. We are not invisible. We are not expendable. You need to hear us. You need to see us. You need to respect us, especially Asian women and girls and elderly. So let's all remember this time, take that anger and hurt and pain and fear and turn it into something positive. Let's continue speaking out, speaking up. Let's continue supporting each other and work with other members of other communities so that we can educate, inform, and use our collective voices to make change. Because that's the only way it's going to happen, if we all work together. And if you're afraid, that's okay. Fear can be used in a positive way too. And if you're angry, that's okay too, because anger can be used in a positive way. Let's all work together and move forward. Thanks, everyone.
Hi everyone, my name is Barbara Lee and I am the founder of Eliminate Hate, Vancouver Asian Film Festival and Racial Equity Screen Office. Today is March 16th, 2023, 2 years after the Atlanta spa shootings, which claimed 8 lives, 6 of which were Asian women. That event to me was the world finally recognizing that anti-Asian and anti-AAPI hate existed, and that Asian women were particularly vulnerable because of the stereotypes of being docile, exotic, and submissive. When the white police officer tried to explain the killer's mindset that he was just having a bad day, I was in shock and could not stop the tears for the victims and for our Asian community. In these past 2 years, I've spent most of my spare time volunteering, speaking up, and speaking out, because anti-Asian racism is entrenched in our country's beginnings, and we cannot become complacent. 2 years on, I'd like to remind you all that anti-Asian racism continues to exist and that we all must continue developing the muscle memory to speak up and speak out. This requires practice on a regular basis. So please find advocacy groups, friends, colleagues, those who will work together so that we can develop our voices. I have been inspired to see so many people who have usually stayed silent finally speak up, as well as allies from other communities that stand in support of Asian communities. We need to remember and honor those lives taken too early and too violently, and work towards making sure that we can do all that we can so that this does not happen again. Thank you, everyone. I appreciate all you beautiful people.
Everyone, I'm Michelle Lee, and I'm the co-founder of the Very Asian Foundation. I've also worked as a news anchor across the country and now call St. Louis home. Today is March 16th, and it's 2 years after the Atlanta spa shootings, which killed 8 people, 6 of whom were of Asian descent. Not only was that so traumatic to witness as an American, as a woman, as a human being, but it really hit me at the core as a Korean-born woman, knowing that I, my family, my friends could be in the wrong place at the wrong time and be targets of senseless, racist, sexist violence. And then, as a news anchor, to see so many journalists and newsrooms realize in the midst of their coverage, they didn't have enough representation to really access some of the communities in a meaningful way. In some cases, not even having enough knowledge to pronounce names properly, something I believe as a journalist should be the minimum amount of dignity that you give to a victim. That event changed how I went out in public. It reiterated that racism is alive and dangerous, and it reminded me that we still have a long way to go. That being said, it also activated so many of us to ask for more or demand change, and also stay engaged in our local and state affairs, from local law enforcement to journalism to school boards and our nation's top politicians. 2 years on, I'd like to remind you that we have power in our collective voices, and we can do this work from a human, nonpartisan standpoint, that creating narrative change could possibly change the way we navigate and live through our country as Americans. I hope today is a reflection of how far we've come and inspires you to keep moving forward. We must not forget that we do belong and we have a place in our communities. Thank you, everyone, and have an impactful day.
Hi, everyone. Daiga Ho. My name is Christina Lau. I am an artist advocate, and I am from Hong Kong, currently residing on the unceded territories of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh peoples, otherwise known as Vancouver. Today is March 16th. It is exactly 2 years since the Atlanta spa shootings, which claimed the lives of 8 people, 6 of whom were Asian women. Our community, for generations upon generations, has suffered from microaggressions, macroaggressions, racism, stereotyping, bias, and othering. This is a fatal example of our community being targeted. And yet, in the past 2 years, I have seen so many people come together from our global community to stand and to fight for justice and for equality. I am so grateful that we have a space that we are holding, and we are holding for others, that allows us to build a new table and not ask for a seat anymore. I consider myself to be my mother's daughter, my ancestors, and my community. And the last few years has shown me how much we are connected. So today, on a very difficult day, I would like to thank you. I would like to thank you for showing by example, for demonstrating graceful leadership, and for finding each other. I know what it feels like to not fit in. And I think that we have an opportunity today to remember that we are here, that we belong just as we are. Thank you so much for all that you do. I'm really honored to be here with you.
Hi everyone, this is Nancy Lee. I'm a mindset coach. I do a lot of work around healing the subconscious mind, releasing trauma from the nervous system, breath work, somatic healing among some of the work, community care and leadership and diversity conversations. But I probably have had a chance to connect with most of you through Clubhouse as the club founder of AAPI Mindset and Healing. So thankful for that space because it was the place that on the day of the Atlanta spa shootings, we all came and we all gathered. We held space for one another. We shared resources. And from there, it's been a catalyst for so much more work within our community. And so they say that there's always a purpose through the pain. And so even though it was a very difficult event for us to experience and witness the Atlanta spa shootings, I'm so thankful that it allowed us to be able to be loud and proud, to be able to organize, to be able to support one another, to be able to start having community care conversations around culture and identity and wellness and mental health and healing. There's more people in therapy than ever before, and ultimately allowed us, even though it was painful to experience grief, it allowed us to feel our feelings for a lot of us. First, you have to feel it in order to heal it. And so that was the first step. And since then, we have been on this trajectory of growth, breaking the bamboo ceiling. And I know that we always talk about this all the time as the Asian community, but literally we are in a time, guys, where we are seeing headlines every day of first ofs. For example, Michelle Yeoh and the cast of Just Everything Everywhere All at Once winning their Oscars and SAG Awards and all the different awards. It's just an amazing time to be an Asian American. And because of that, I want to be able to thank the process of what happened from the Atlanta spa shootings and encourage you all to continue to press into the work. And if you don't feel supported where you're at, know that there is so much resources and support out there, even if it's online. You know, they say that bamboo takes 5 to 7 years to establish a root system and a foundation, but after that, it is known as the fastest growing plant in the world. And that is the time that we're at right now as Asian Americans. So be loud and proud, take up space, and bring forth the solutions that the world is needing right now, because the world needs your voice, the world needs your ideas, and the world is needing you to be your best self.
Hi everyone, my name is Jason Chu. I'm a rapper, activist, and educator based in Los Angeles, California. Today, it's my honor to be here with y'all virtually at Always With Us, a remembrance of everything that happened last year at this time, really a remembrance of everything that's happened for these last 3 years, for 170 years of Asian American communities existing. But as I'm standing here and thinking about this history, I want to make sure that we don't just center the things that have happened to us or the things that we're facing, right? It's not just about what we're fighting against, but what we're fighting for. When I think of Asian America, I think of the communities that are flourishing. I think of the places that I've been, everywhere from Houston to Dallas, to Chicago, to Boston, New York, San Francisco, Oakland, Seattle, everywhere around this country, including Los Angeles, California, where I'm grateful to be based. We fight so hard for Asian American identity, not because it's something that is at risk of being taken away from us, but because Asian America is something that's worth fighting to build. Ever since 1968, when a group of students at UC Berkeley gathered together and created a new pan-ethnic racial identity, Asian America, right? We were no longer going to be Orientals, defined by what we weren't, defined by where we weren't. We were going to be Asian Americans, a choice to stand in solidarity with each other and with communities around us. That's why I'm super proud to be Asian American. I identify myself as Asian American because I think that's a legacy worth standing up for. It's a legacy worth fighting for. It's a legacy worth putting aside even some of our differences and coming together to acknowledge. So today, as we remember lives that were taken before their time, as we acknowledge the many strides that we have yet to take in order to have equity, in order to have spaces that feel safe for our communities, I'm here with you, always with us together, because I believe we're not just fighting for survival. We're fighting to build something that's worth giving to the future, to the generations that come after us, to the generations that have come before us. This chance to stand together, to work together, to build together. That's what Asian America has meant ever since its inception in 1968. I hope that we can continue building together. I hope that we can continue learning together. I hope that we can continue having a forward-looking vision of what Asian America can be in the years and generations to come. Take care, y'all.
Hi, I'm Audrey Wong, Executive Director of Eliminate Hate. We're based out of Vancouver, Canada, and leverage the power of arts, film, and media to combat racism against Asian Canadians. As we gather to commemorate the second anniversary of the horrific Atlanta shootings, I want to remember and honor the dead, injured, their families, and all those affected by this tragedy through coming together to show support and to stand up against hate. I believe that each and every one of us can make a difference. We can call out racism when we see it, educate ourselves and others, and show compassion to those who have been targeted. I'm inspired by the countless individuals, organizations, and communities who have joined us in this fight against hate. This unspeakable tragedy galvanized us to push forward, speak out, and to keep making a positive difference in this world. Change is possible. We have to believe in this. Through education and empowerment, we can create a world that is free from hate and discrimination. I believe that every single one of us has the power to make a difference, no matter how small our actions may seem. So as we remember the victims of the Atlanta shootings, let us also remember and honor the hope and resilience that they have inspired in us.
Hi, my name is Angela Chang, and I serve as the Chief Strategy Officer for KCAL Insurance Agency, and on the Board of Directors for National ACE, ACE Next Gen, and the Asian Business Association. Today is March 16th, 2023. It's been 2 years since the Atlanta spa shootings, which claimed 8 lives, 6 of which belonged to Asian women. That event was traumatizing. I went home and gave my mom an extra long hug the next day. And still to this day, it terrifies me when she goes out. 2 years on, in this week when an Asian woman just won the top Oscars honor, I'd like to remind you all that as Asian women, we are so strong, way stronger than we give ourselves credit for. We're strong because of our culture, we're strong because of our community, and we're strong because we continue to uplift each other. So let's continue to demonstrate Asian excellence and show the rest of the world how strong we are. Let's claim those seats at the table and speak up to make our society a better place. Thank you for breaking the silence. I appreciate all of you wonderful people.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jenny Liu, and I'm a Taiwanese Asian American immigrant. I come from the entertainment and gaming industry. Today, March 16th, 2023, marks the 2 years anniversary of the Atlanta spa shootings, which claimed 8 lives, 6 of them of Asian descent. I vividly remember this day as I was confused, conflicted, and angered by this horrific incident. I had tough conversations with people that were allies who did not understand the significance of what happened and dismissed the idea that what took place was an anti-Asian hate crime. This was a pivotal moment for me as I had just started speaking up and sharing my own experience as an Asian woman during a time where hate crime against the AAPI community was heightened due to the pandemic. I was often anxious. Each time when I leave my house, I will look over my shoulder as I was afraid that I may physically be assaulted simply for the way that I looked and that Asian women are passive and easy targets. Here we are 2 years later, and I'd like to remind our community that we belong. Whether you were born in the US or an immigrant like me, our cultures and our accents are what make us unique. So let's embrace them. We deserve to be heard and have access to equal opportunity and get the seat at that table because we are worth it. Don't be afraid to stand up for our community and for yourself. Continue to light your passions with your beliefs and celebrate our rich Asian cultures. I appreciate all your passion and work to continue to empower our community. During this Women's History Month, to all the young girls and women out there, I'll leave you with some words from Michelle Yeoh following her Academy Award win. Don't let anybody tell you you are past your prime, and never give up. Dream big. Thank you so much.
Hi everyone, I'm Gloria, and you may know me from IDA-SF, which is a nonprofit based in San Francisco that I co-founded. Today is March 16, 2023, 2 years after the Atlanta spa shooting, which claimed 8 lives. That event was tragic. I cried when I heard the news, and I can't imagine the pain their loved ones felt when they heard about what had happened to their daughters, wife, mother, grandmother, and friends. 2 years on, I'd like to remind you all to stay strong and united and to rise up against hate. Asian women continue to be disproportionately targeted due to racism and sexism, and we need the entire community behind us to call out targeted violence and prevent tragedies like these from happening again. We must not forget, and we must continue to educate, support, and push for real change so our community does not need to live in fear. Thank you all. I am grateful for your support. Please stay safe. Take care.
Hi everyone, my name is Alice Hu. I'm a career astrologer and fractional chief mindfulness officer. Today is March 16, 2023, 2 years after the Atlanta spa shootings, which claimed 8 lives, 6 of which belonged to Asian women. This event made us realize once more that we need to activate our voices to advocate for ourselves. 2 years on, I'd like to remind you all to find ways to deeply care for yourself and spend time building emotional literacy and resiliency. When you take care of yourself, you're really taking care of others as well. We must not forget, and we must continue to support one another and uplift each other's voices. Thank you, everyone. I appreciate each and every one of you.